Hello, and welcome to episode 120 of the Cutie Art Crusaders for October 28th, 2014. Bernd tried to start talking while I was doing the intro. None of that's happening. My name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the host, and that's basically it this week. So I'm joined today by...
the special guest coordinator and stuff.
And the editor this week.
Editor this week, that's what I was looking for. That's the end stuff.
I'm Flutterguy317, and I'm the media manager for the podcast, and yeah.
Flutterguy!
Hey!
317!
I don't think I've ever face-palmed as quickly as I have. And that's got to be a new record. That's like, what, like 15 seconds in?
Dude, I've been away for like a week. I had to let it spill out.
Were you away in Japan?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, we were in the happy land of Japan, also known as South Dakota.
South Dakota, also known as New Japan.
Welcome to South Dakota.
I was gonna be like, segue into what I was doing in South Dakota. Like, we were hunting for ringneck Chinese pheasants. that sounded a bit far. But anyway, so I was gone on vacation with my father. We went to South Dakota for pheasant season, and we were shooting shotguns and a bunch of other guns and shooting and stuff, and it was awesome. It was a blast. I've never shot that many guns in my life.
Cool.
And it was cool, and so that was kind of my vacation. I got to spend a week with my father at a lodge on a pheasant ranch, I guess it were.
Cool. That's cool. You got to be a co-pilot too, and fly on a private jet, which is awesome.
Yeah, we got to take my dad's company's private jet there. So like, it was so weird not having to go through customs because we had like whiskey and lots of alcohol.
Well, wait. Customs is security, because you wouldn't go through customs US to US flight.
Yeah. Security, whatever. That stupid, awful thing you have to go through when you go through the airport so you don't mess stuff up. But it's a private plane, so you have to do that. So you're just like, I had a pocket knife, and I was like, I probably shouldn't bring this. And I was like, wait, no one cares.
I never thought about that before, but I guess private planes, you don't need to go through that kind of security.
And so like all of like my dad and I and his friends, they all had lots and lots of guns and ammunition. We just like, this is America, throw that on the plane and take it to South Dakota.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds like fun.
That's cool. I got to ride co-pilot on the way back, which was really cool. So shout out to Steve, the pilot, who basically the entire time just like described to me how air traffic control works and how the airplane works and what buttons to never hit while I'm in the co-pilot seat, like the emergency engine shut off and a bunch of other stuff.
That was the first conversation, wasn't
it? That was actually the very last conversation. I was like, before we were starting to land, I was like, this entire time I've been really self-conscious about not touching anything because I'm really scared that I'll flip one of these switches and we're all going to die. And I was like, so out of curiosity, what button should I never hit? And he's like, this button right here, and just flips open this plastic switch, and I'm like, just make this horrible womanly noise. And he flipped open the plastic cover for a switch, and he's like, this switch right here, it's the emergency engine shut-off button, and it's a last-ditch effort to put the engines down so we can glide down to the ground without burning to death. And I was like,
wow,
good
that's cool.
Well then. Yeah.
So yeah, it was really fun.
Do you think Steve's going to watch this episode and get that shout out?
Hell no.
Absolutely not.
No,
not a chance.
Not at all.
He's too busy flying planes.
Yeah, too busy being awesome.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you anyway, Steve. You're awesome.
Shout out to all of our awful viewers.
Aw.
You could be out flying planes for a living, getting paid thousands of dollars. Or you could be watching this horse show. And I just offended every pilot who's ever watched our show.
Literally $1,000. Okay.
You know how expensive it is, though, to actually get to that point? Like, I have a coworker who's a pilot just like for fun, and he spends inordinate amounts of money on it.
Yeah,
because it's insanely
It's really
expensive.
tough to be a pilot.
Yeah.
And I mean, the job itself, too, is like a really difficult job.
Yeah. That was actually one of the conversations we had about like how tough it is to be an air traffic controller and how to be like a pilot for a lot of situations. And there's like seniority and when like you're in a lot of pilot fields or like airplane mechanic fields, where basically if you're a new guy trying to get started into it for like the first 5 almost to 10 years, you don't have seniority because there's dudes who've been doing it for 10 to 20 years. So you basically work graveyard shifts and just dirt shifts.
Yep. My cousin's a pilot for Air Canada, and basically you just wait for the person at the top to retire, and then everyone moves up a rank.
Hey, seniority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in case anyone hasn't noticed by now, Mr. Atmos Spark is not here.
People know the icon's faded, and if they're only listening, then he didn't introduce himself.
Well, they could be listening audioly.
Well, he didn't introduce himself,
and
so he's not
like
here.
drawing things because we have beautiful artists who watch the show. We love you.
Yeah.
He's feeling sick, and also he's moving today. So
Yeah.
Oh, he's moving. Exciting.
yeah,
The sick part's not so
It
exciting.
kind of sucks that he's sick on his moving day because that's like,
it's a stressful day. That's
yeah.
yeah,
I wonder if that's kind of what exacerbated the whole sickness.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Also,
that could happen.
I find myself using that word more often.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Exacerbated?
Did you get a word of the day calendar?
No.
Is it like word of the month? Is it the word of the month? Like,
Maybe.
it's a really lazy word of the day calendar. It's just one word every month. 12 words. We printed 12 words and made a calendar. Huh.
It's not even that you have to flip the pages. It's just like
It's on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll be back next week. We'll see.
Yeah. I wish I had a couch that talked. So whenever I was like, oh, exacerbated, it'd be like, oh, just take a word.
You're talking about like Pee-wee's Playouts.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to talk about my next thing now that, like, because that was really funny.
Go on,
next
go
thing-
on, go on.
The next thing
waiting.
is really not funny.
No, it's okay. Go on.
Okay, so, I mean...
I'll make a joke out of it. It'll be great.
No, no, you won't.
Oh, okay.
I like based on our conversation before this, like I actually wonder if you know what happened.
Nope,
But
I don't. I have no clue.
Okay.
I've been gone for a week.
So yeah, on Wednesday, people know that I live in Canada, obviously, but I live in Canada's capital, a city called Ottawa. And on Wednesday, there was an incident that happened in Ottawa that locked down basically the entire downtown core. For people who don't know, like burned apparently. There was a guy who had a gun and shot someone at a war memorial and then ran into Parliament and started shooting there. Luckily, no one in Parliament died. Unfortunately, the person at the war memorial did. And it shut down the entire downtown core for probably 6 to 8 hours. So, I mean, I guess I didn't really want to talk about it because it was something that just happened in Canada. But like it was something that kind of personally affected me. I was lucky, I worked downtown Ottawa. I was lucky enough that I was far enough away that we weren't really too affected by it. Our building was in lockdown for like 6 hours. But we were far enough away that it was more of like a self-imposed lockdown. So yeah, I mean, it was weird because like where I get on the bus downtown Ottawa is really, really close there. I can see Parliament from where I get on the bus. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It was kind of it was a big deal, and it hit worldwide headlines, and it was really nice of people. I had tons of people during the day check up on me. I got so many text messages from people I know all around the world and all around Canada and stuff like that. But yeah, that was, I guess I want to talk about that a little bit because I figure people might be a bit curious if they know I'm from Ottawa. But yeah, I was like in lockdown for 6 to 8 hours or something like that. But everything was fine. And yeah, people are dumb, but we are stronger as a nation for it. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
We're not
it's
really a
just
political
tradition.
show. So yeah.
No.
And then to make matters worse, your internet went out for like a day.
Oh yeah, I mean like not to make that sound like a bigger deal,
Yeah,
but like it
but-
affected me a lot closer than the shooting downtown did, obviously. Yeah, so during that was all happening, for whatever reason, the power went out for like most of like rural Ottawa. So you were either downtown and locked down or outside of downtown and no power. And for some reason that kicked out our internet and like killed our like modem. So we lost internet for like 24 hours. So I came home after all of that, was like exhausted, just like mentally stressed out from that day, and then sat down and was like, oh yeah, no internet until tomorrow. Great.
Yeah.
So
No, I actually did hear about that. It was on the news and stuff at the lodge and stuff.
okay.
But when you said, "Oh, I want to talk about what happened on Wednesday," I don't instantly think, like disaster and whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it was weird. I mean it was so, when you think about it from like a I don't know, from like a worldwide perspective, I guess I don't view it as that huge of a deal because it was just one person. But I don't know, it's weird. It kind of hits close to home. And I guess I haven't really been around an event like that in a couple years or so. So
yeah.
I mean,
I actually had access to Skype, and I remember I went on it and I saw that you were chatting, and I remember you had come up like, oh, I think Rainbow Plasma lives in Ottawa, even though I wasn't sure because I don't remember where exactly you live.
Yeah.
But I remember you were chatting in there and that you said that you were all right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because we had just visited that place.
Yeah, that was the weirdest part too. Like Ted came and visited me after BronyCon, right? And we one of the things that we did was we went downtown to Parliament, so we walked around the center block, which is where the guy was. So we walked around center block and we went, and I vividly remember us looking up at the war memorial and talking about stuff.
Yeah.
So it was I guess that kind of hit close to home because I have such vivid memories of that. So yeah, I don't know. It was an unfortunate event, and I feel very blessed to know so many people who are concerned, and just in general, the world kind of. I feel like everywhere I looked, there was people showing their support towards Canada, and that was really really cool to see.
Yeah.
So thank you, and we'll move on to the art because that is a depressing story.
I was gonna say on to happier topics. Before we get to our art, we have a really awesome piece of fan art that was sent to us by none other than late customer Dave. And it is a whole bunch of us at Halloween time, and we have Atmospark and Silver Rain Clouds in a pumpkin, and we have Otaku AP there, and Kieran and Fiona, and all of us.
It was all of the I don't know. I guess it's people that are close to Dave in his life, and so yeah, it was really cool. I know that he showed a couple like sketches, and he's been wanting to make something, but I guess it's considered fan art. It's more of like a. This is a picture with me and my friends, but
yeah. Well, I guess
technically fan art.
I do love your role in this piece. You're just annoying the heck out of him.
Yep.
Small, adorable horses.
Dave knows I love him.
All right, so for this episode, last week, when we ended our previous episode, we mentioned that we were going to do some sort of Halloween theme, possibly, maybe.
And then we didn't.
Then we didn't. Yay! But we are doing a themed episode this week, and it is kind of Halloween related in that we're looking at creepy art.
Yeah, what are you talking about? This is Halloween themed.
Spooky art.
I guess creepy.
Like, it's not pumpkins and candy. Oh no!
Yeah.
Burn, were you doing a me impression? Because that sounds exactly like me right now.
Sometimes you rub off on me a little, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It was, I don't know. I agree. I think creepy and spooky is kind of like a Halloween thing. Because, I mean, if it wasn't for Halloween, October wouldn't be like a creepy and spooky month, you know?
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. It is the month where were they going with that? The month of harrowing.
'Tis the season.
To be
creepy things.
Scary.
Yeah.
Fa la la la.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
All right. What's the first piece of art?
Burn is going to go first. Yeah, I can talk, yeah.
I like the fact that you definitely put it in the right order then if Burn's going to go
document
first.
doesn't say go first.
Oh, yeah, you don't go first, sorry. I go first this week.
All hail the document.
So, just as a note of warning, these are fairly creepy. They're not gruesome or,
they're not gory. They're not terribly scary. They're just kind of creepy. So, just FYI.
And we have mentioned in the past that we would mention that, there's creepy art or whatever before we show it. So,
it's more uncanny than anything. So, go ahead.
Actually, I don't know what this one is called, but my piece is by an artist known as Pigfish, and we've talked about this piece a lot on this show before, but we've never actually brought it up. And I've seen this piece in the Traveling Pony Museum, and it shows the Cutie Art Crusaders in a very kind of
Cutie Art Crusaders.
Thank you. In a very abstract concept light. so not abstract art, but the concept itself is abstract. It kind of shows what their inner talents are. And Bernd has described it a bit better than what I'm saying here. But basically, Sweetie Belle has a speaker where her mouth should be. Apple Bloom has a light where her in her mouth should be. Yeah, and Scootaloo has flames like engulfing her.
Where her
breathing out her mouth.
Her mouth should be, yes.
So the reason I knew how to describe this, I guess, so well was actually because Jesse, one of the, I guess, curators of the Traveling Pony Museum for when you and I were there, actually explained this piece to us while we were talking to him and interviewing him on video that has since been lost. but when we were talking to Jesse, he was describing this piece in the museum and his thoughts on it and stuff, and we kind of I guess took those thoughts to heart or whatever, or remembered them. Blech, but whatever. But yeah, so each of these features on each of the Cutie Mark Crusaders kind of represents their special hidden talent or whatever that kind of the show has been hinting at, So you have what is it, Scootaloo being the daredevil, so you have a target and her breathing fire, they're playing with fire, whatever you have, and she's kind of blindfolded because she doesn't see the danger, so it's kind of these things that are representative of it, what's the word I'm looking for, allegories for their special talent, So then obviously you have the speaker from Sweetie Belle, singing music, sound, right. And then engineering things on Apple Bloom with the light bulb and
equations, schematics,
stuff.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, schematics, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this piece, just because it is more on the creepy side, but it's also really well done, and there's a lot of thought put into it, and just because art is creepy or dark or whatever doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It's just you have to appreciate it for what it is, and I really like how Pigfish depicted this story of who the three Cutie Mark Crusaders are in this kind of darker tone.
So I'd like to provide a little, not necessarily a counterpoint, but to something you just said. You were just saying just because it's creepy or whatever, it doesn't mean it's bad. And I agree with that point. Obviously, if just be, I'd like to extend that to say just because you don't like looking at it doesn't mean it's bad, Yeah. But I don't think there are some. Let me relate this to a story that I had from first year university. I went to a film class, and my film professor would get angry at people when they would leave, because we had lectures and then movies. So they'd leave for the movie portion when we were doing our horror theme. So we would have horror movies, and he would get mad about it because he said that people weren't truly appreciating the art, and you had to look past. You had to think about why it was making you feel that way and all that. And I feel that's kind of valid, but I feel you also can't dismiss the fact that sometimes there's just not things for you, right?
Yeah.
I can look at, I look at this piece and I think it's really well done, and I think it's really well made. I don't like it because I think it's that type of creepy that doesn't, it's not enjoyable for me to view, which is weird because the next two pieces are both kind of again creepy, but I enjoy them. But I hear some people sometimes talk about the fact it's if I say, oh, I don't like this piece because it creeps me out, people are like, well, that shouldn't be a reason why you don't like the piece. And I disagree.
Yeah. No, I agree with you that if you don't like a piece, then nothing really needs to force you to like a piece.
I think part of the problem is that a lot of people have difficulty looking past, their subjective to reach the objective,
Yeah.
So subjectively, I don't really like this because it makes me feel uncomfortable, or the faces are kind of creepy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can look past that to see objectively how it's composed, and the different elements of it are actually quite well put together.
That's the beautiful point, though. That's the perfect point right there. Because not necessarily a piece like this, but pieces similar, I mean, they are made for that purpose. It's that word that I love. It's uncanny. like for a long time, I didn't like uncanny, and to the point, I still don't like uncanny, but that's why it exists. That's the point of uncanny, because as humans, it makes us feel uncomfortable because there's something in our brain that tells us that it's uncomfortable. And it's like, why does it make us uncomfortable? Why is it creepy, or why don't we like it, or whatever? So there was a display at the Portland Art Museum where an artist made these like cartoony, like almost like super realistic, like human busts of heads of like extremely large, like children's heads, but they were like the absolute definition of extremely uncanny, and they made me extremely uncomfortable, and I hated them. I still hate them. They're gross. But like that was the point of them. That's why they existed. And it was like to play with that part in your human brain that tells you this is freaking weird and I don't like this. And so like the point, I'm not saying that's the point of this art that we're looking at, but there's definitely like hints of that like uncanny sense in it. But yeah, anyway, go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah. Basically, like, I don't know, certain people like myself kind of like exploring that uncanny feeling, I guess, to a certain extent. I don't like super, super creepy art, but like you were saying, like Rainbow Plasma, that, you know, everyone has their own tastes and stuff. And so you may look at this and you may not like it because it is creepy or whatever. But if you appreciate like creepy art to a certain extent, like I do, then yeah, you would find this piece very
good. I suppose the thing is that I think it's perfectly legitimate to not like a piece on the sole basis that it makes you feel uncomfortable, so long as you acknowledge the fact that it's done its job.
Right.
And I think that's you know, these kind of pieces do their job very well.
Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, there's a couple of pieces that we've featured on our show by an artist by the name of Raydrob, who's actually a fan of the show. And he is a fantastic artist, and he has some like human anatomy that he uses in his ponies, and it kind of dips a little bit into that uncanny valley. And I find those pieces of art absolutely fantastic just because I love playing with that uncanny feeling, whereas other people may not. So,
yeah. At BronyCon, we actually got to, or I guess, Mahauer and I don't know if you guys ever got to, but we got to meet Pigfish in person, and he was super nice. He was a really nice guy. But we talked to him about his art and like brought it up, and like he definitely mentioned that he really does love to play with kind of that uncanny feeling. And actually something that he was struggling with as an artist, which was an interesting point that I wouldn't have guessed, is he's been trying to make his ponies cuter and like seem more feminine. And he's been building on that and working on that and trying to find a style that he like wants to do that with, and like that seemed weird. It's almost like the opposite of the struggle of some other artists.
Right.
Anyway, also at BronyCon, we did meet an artist who loved to use uncanny. I forget his name, but we did an interview with him. It's on our YouTube channel. Princess something or other. Anyway.
Twilight Spuggaroo!
No.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like how this piece is done, just because it does play with that uncanny valley, and also because the ponies themselves are well drawn. The fire effect is fantastic, and I don't know.
There's different styles too, so everyone has a different like style of uncanny that they enjoy. Like I enjoy this style, but I dislike other styles.
Yeah. All right, so shall we move on to the next piece?
Sounds good.
Which would be Burned.
Oh, me, yeah.
Bjorn.
Bjorn.
Click. Okay, so the piece that I chose was Luna by Shizmu, I believe, or Shizmo Zero.
No, it's definitely Shizmu.
Well, is it 2 zeros there? Is there like a zero and a space?
It's 2 zeros.
2 zeros, okay.
It's
Shizmu with 2 zeros. But I really like this artist. This artist gallery is full of like very extremely unique pieces and unique artworks and just unique style, very unique coloring, very limited palettes usually, sometimes with like compliments and stuff. And so like I really like this piece of Luna. It's playing with a little bit of that uncanny feeling, slightly not uncanny so much in that it resembles certain things, but uncanny and almost it's I guess because it's not uncanny valley where it's like resembling human, but it's still uncanny to where there's like interesting feeling about it. Am I still using that word correctly?
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. We'll just say creepy. That's a creepy horse.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Because there's things that are happening that look kind of creepy, but they're done in a weird way where it's not explicitly like violent or explicit in the terms of grotesque. You know what I mean? It's you have basically this what is an object of the moon like actually piercing through Luna, who's kind of like not like drawn like half of her, you know, but there's nothing really violent about it or, you know, explicit that would get like a rated R rating, but it's just kind of how things are drawn and detailed. There's like, has the moon like going through her head and then through her abdomen. Yeah, it's kind of just creepy and it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and obviously there's the comparison of her cutie mark kind of black seeping up and almost being treated like blood or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like ink because of, you know, like I see it almost as ink because, you know, we're looking at artwork and it's, you know, it's a digital painting and, you know, it's just black or whatever. But like, yeah, it could totally be seen as like a blood, but it's, you know, it's playing again with like the fact that it is a cutie mark and a bit of shading up above.
Well, see, it kind of manipulates you too because you look at it and you're like, oh, that's blood. Oh no, it's black, and it's like the art tricks you. It's like, no, it's not. But you thought it was.
I think of it as night sky, and that Luna is internally made of the night. She is the night, and
bleeding
so
night.
she bleeds night. Yeah.
So how about her hair? It's a pretty interesting interpretation. It's almost like it's gooey. It's like
viscous
it's made of
was a word we
slime.
used once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Viscous is a good adjective.
gelatinous.
Yeah.
Jellyfish-like.
Yeah, it's very liquidy, you know? I mean, you can see it, you can tell that it is transparent, and it has qualities about how it is drawn that have a verisimilitude, the word of the day, that mimic liquid. So, you know, you can see basically the background through the hair, and then on the hair on her head, her bangs, you can see that they're like her coat color is behind it as well, which makes it look liquidy, and it is round and organic. The lines on it are organic, you know, very round and soft and whatnot. They're not, you know, sharp edged. So again, more, you know, viscousy qualities, but has little dots, little stars that don't quite look like stars, but they're still dots to, you know, to mimic her hair. Like it's almost like glitter in like a snow globe.
I wish you were here last week when you said that word because I just looked it up and the description was great. I mean, like,
What's the description?
Verisimilitude.
Yep.
Verisimilitude is the appearance of
verisimilitude.
being true or real. And I think that's really cool because last week we talked a lot about like things that were like looking kind of realistic and stuff like that. So that's a great word.
Yeah.
Now that's a word of the day calendar.
Thank you, art history, and my teacher. Shout out to my art history teacher.
So, like, we've got this weird, like, dripping ink night thing. We've got, like, her gooey hair. And we've also got these, like, blocky, like, almost carved wings. It's really strange. It's kind of like these three different, you know, you've got the solids and the liquids and the gooey plasmas. And it's a really weird, like, mixture of the three and how they're so like very separated but still part of the same character.
Yeah, and that's really what makes it awesome because like at first glance, like when I looked at this piece, it seemed inherently simple, you know, just with like an almost brownish orange background and then you know, this kind of just the little depiction of Luna, but there's all these little qualities about it, like the hair, like the moon, like the wings and everything that are just so juxtaposed is a word that you like to use. And that make this piece seem so cool.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
Yeah. I really like how the piece is laid out because Luna's front and center, and then the moon and her hair, her mane, kind of create this circle around her and really bring your focus in. Her tail, not so much, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain aspect of diagonality. Really? Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
That came out.
I'll go with it.
There's, you know, just because the top right and the bottom left of the piece are kind of empty, whereas the top left and the bottom right, where her mane and tail are a little more filled. So it doesn't really do, you know, we've talked about lots of other pieces in the past, how they use diagonal lines or diagonal kind of camera work or whatever composition to create action. It doesn't really do that in this piece, but I find it kind of interesting.
There's like a sense of downward movement or gravity, sort of. And how she's like kind of hanging from the moon, and then like her hair again looks like it's showing, like it's being pulled down or dragged down. You know what I mean? Does that make sense when I say there's like a feeling of downward movement, like things are being pulled down because the fact that they are liquid or they're being drawn as liquid looks like they're dripping down Luna or dripping down into the orange, and her hair is kind of dropping, dripping is a very key word.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the ink too.
Yeah, I feel like because we're dealing with like viscous liquids in this piece, the whole movement of like the diagonal is a lot slower, a lot less kind of impactful. Whereas like in other pieces, if you have a lot of sharp lines that are on diagonals, that produces a really actiony kind of effect, I feel.
Yeah, the only thing sharp in this piece are the wings, which are stationary, and the moon, which is kind of like piercing, and so it's not really like a movement kind of thing. It's just, it looks like it's sitting there, you know, because of the way that kind of the black kind of liquid is kind of sitting. It doesn't give off a lot of kind of movement cues or anything like that.
The moon seems static to me, and what I mean by that is like it's rigid. It is like stable or pasted, glued in place is what I mean by static. And I mean, it's also kind of like centralized in the piece. It's not exactly in the middle, but it's almost in the middle. And how Luna is kind of like almost placed on it and like has her hooves on the front of it, like she's holding herself up onto it, also helps make it feel like that to me.
Right, yeah.
Like impaled, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely, like, if anything would be moving or like falling off of the piece, it would be Luna off of the moon, not the other way around. I could totally see that too.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool though how you can have some aspect of you know, I'm gonna say diagonalization, but that's like a linear algebra thing. You know, you have some element of diagonals in this piece, and yet it's bogged down by, again, you're talking about like the viscous hair and the other movement cues, which are very obvious to us that they're not moving in any particularly fast way. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like, but that's still a good point, is that there's strong lines or things going on in this piece that like play well together or, you know, are different from each other. So like the diagonals, kind of how you have hair, her, and then hair below her, and then the wings as well. And then there's these verticals, which is caused by gravity, by like kind of the water and hair dropping. And then there's also a central one that the moon causes, which is an extremely strong circle that you can see like in the piece, you know?
Right. Right. I like it. I really enjoy this piece. I've never seen this artist before. I've never seen this piece before. I really enjoy it.
I love this artist. You go check it out. Shizmu with 2 zeros.
I will.
I'm plugging it again. Not directly telling you.
No, I absolutely will.
I love this artist's signature too. It's just moo.
Moo.
Moo. Moo.
With zeros. There needs to be dashes through that. The last little thing I was going to mention is like, obviously it's a digital painting, but also the colors are sort of complements. And what I mentioned is that this artist kind of likes to use muted color palettes. It's not usually bright, vivid, that are like in your face colors. They're always like weird, kind of like off pastel colors. And it's again really like key to this artist's style. And so like that kind of muted, dull, muddy orange, but you can still tell that it's sort of an orange in the background, is the complement to Luna being kind of like a weird blue, almost a violet, and then like her hair also being blue.
That's a really good point. It is kind of like a dull complement.
Because again, like a big thing when I took color theory is like when you're talking about like complements and colors, it doesn't always have to be that pure color, you know, like muted colors or like more dull colors or darkened colors can still be a very strong tool to make like good complements or colors really react from each other or stand apart or do weird, interesting things. Like these colors don't really pop out or stand out a lot to me, you know, but there's like how they're used is unique.
Your color choices don't always have to be in your audience's face, you know?
Yeah.
They can be used for much more subtle things, like I think in here.
Yep.
It's a great choice of background.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to our last piece?
We shall. So this one's mine, I guess. I guess I should introduce it then. So the one that I picked out was called Library of Dark, by Fruit Blood Milkshake, which I think we featured his stuff on the show before, haven't we?
Yeah,
I think so.
The one with like So it's Twilight, Luna, and Celestia, and the Phoenix thing.
Heroes of Equestria, yes.
Whatever the Phoenix thing is. Ashbird.
So,
so
what's its name?
Philomena?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Ashbird. The Phoenix? Anyways, I really enjoyed this piece. Something I noticed in all three of the pieces is that there's a pony missing the eyes or having like weird eyes, which is interesting when it comes to like making you feel kind of creepy. But this one's got, I think this one out of all of them has the most atmosphere to it. It has the most creepy environment, not just the characters that are supposed to be making you feel creepy. You know, the situation as well is kind of uneasy.
The only like kind of creepy subject matter was like, just like you mentioned, kind of the eye being blackened over, and she's kind of like shedding like a black tear. And it looks like there's even kind of like blackness dripping out of the bookshelves
and out of her eye.
But
yeah.
I said that.
He said that.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
It's okay. But yeah. But I mean, it's subtle. It's small, you know? But like the majority of the art piece is just like you mentioned. It's kind of this atmospheric, creepy library, which is, it's cool in its narrative. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this kind of key horror-esque setting, which is, again, you know what Halloween is about. It's kind of a little bit about horror. It's about pumpkins and bloody candy and stupid kids. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, when I first saw the episode that featured this library, or this castle, I guess, first of all, amazing episode. But, you know, it was kind of it was kind of like goofy horror, but, you know, it was kind of like scary themed. Like the whole point of the episode was that it was a scary old castle. And what I like here is that the artist took that kind of prompt and made it into something that was a little bit more mature, I guess, a little bit more realistic, a little bit darker than I guess the show would go, for sure. Which is something I really like about the fandom, is that they can take these concepts and explore them a little bit deeper than perhaps the show could do.
So fun.
And yeah, I think a lot of times artists get the opportunity to do that. Yeah, I like the fact that, you know, we have the bookshelves going, you know, diagonally back, so you got that sense of depth, and then like in the background there's almost like this nothingness. Like, I know it's like a wall, but it looks like almost like fog. Like there's
I don't think
almost
that's
like
a wall.
It opens up
I think
into like
it just
a
keeps
swamp,
going.
and there's like a bit of mist coming off of the bottom there, or whether or not that's dust, but it looks like the bookshelves stop and the kind of like swamp begins.
I definitely think it's like in this world or thing where she's at, it is kind of like the wall of the castle, right? And so like those things on the bottom are kind of like cracks in the wall, and then it goes up and there's like a hole in the ceiling of the castle with like just a dim light shining through or whatever, and she's in kind of, you know, this library depth basement dungeon kind of like thing is what I get from the sense of this. But it is like, it does have that feeling that it almost is like this creepy, eerie thing that could be like a swamp and like twigs and things on the right. Like, I don't even know what that is on the right. Cobwebs? Who knows?
It's very thick for cobwebs.
It's interesting because there's like the bottom of that wall area has this atmospheric perspective on it. There's like this fog there.
Yeah.
But if you go up, like the value drops, you get the window. So if you look at like the upper right portion, you would say, oh yeah, that's a wall. But as you look down towards the lower right portion of the picture, it's like, wait a second, maybe not. Messes with you.
Yeah, and you know, it was funny you were talking about this a little bit last piece, Bern, but again, we kind of get this dull, very subtle complement between the blue light that's coming in and the yellow and orangey light that's coming off of her horn, and kind of reflecting off of the wall there on the left.
If I may bring up a word, it is it's a very good use of blorange.
I was just about to say, is it blorange just to be a jerk? But yeah, absolutely.
Today's name for the episode is word of the day.
Word of the day calendar is Berndini the Wizard.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I guess you guys weren't going to really talk about it, but it's such a small little thing that I wasn't even sure I was going to bring it up. But I really like it when artists show light and there's dust particles in the air, because I feel like that like adds so much. It's such a small, tiny little detail. But
volumetric lighting is so good.
Sorry,
I just like it because it I don't know. When I see light beams, like shafts of light, there's always dust in it. Like that's just kind of like something that happens in reality, you know?
Well, because that's what light beams are. It's like fine dust particles in the air, but then sometimes you get these larger dust particles that shine brighter. And it's cool.
That's not really what a beam of light is.
Well, no, but yeah.
But yeah, like I like it. It just adds like a little. It's very subtle, but it's the details that really matter in the end.
So I got a cool thing to bring up.
Okay.
So this thing, going back to art history again, we're talking about verisimilitude. There was also something else I learned. There was an artist who would play with this kind of like painting reality kind of stuff. And there's a technique he used that he became famous for. The artist I'm talking about is named John Constable. In some of his pieces where he would paint real life like kind of settings and make them look very real, he used this little technique where he would put like dabs of white, like little tiny dabs of white. So he would paint his scene and he would actually get like a tiny little small brush and then put these tiny little specks of white. And they actually created a term for it, and it's called Constable Snow. And what it does is it was used to mimic moisture in like the air or on trees or on water or anything. Okay. And he became really famous for using kind of this little technique of those white specks, because like we see those in real life, which goes back to that word, the little magical word that we were using earlier. So like those little kind of like ambient specks of dust in the sunlight kind of are similar to that technique that he used when he was like using moisture or water. So sometimes when people will talk about like ambient things in life, when it comes to little tiny specks, they'll talk about like little like Constable Snow.
That's cool. I didn't know that had like a phrase or like a name.
Like not that right there isn't quite Constable Snow, but it's similar to the technique that are used to basically mimic what we see in real life.
Right. Yeah, it reminded you of it.
Because it's a tangible thing that we recognize when we see those specks. We don't go, why are there white specks on the painting? Why did someone accidentally sneeze or do something onto the painting that made white things go there? We instantly recognize it as, oh, that's dust in the sunlight. Or if like we were looking at a piece of like a painted outdoors and there was a bunch of little white specks, you'd be like, oh, I can see those reflections of water droplets or something. We connect them with things that we know in life and not assume that it's sneezed paint.
Sneezed paint.
That's a new form of art, by the way.
What?
Sneeze paint is a new form of art.
Yeah. Can I point out how fluffy she is? Is that inappropriate in a creepy episode? Like, to point out a happy thing? But she's so fluffy, I want to die.
I mean, I guess that's creepy in a creepy...
She's so fluffy.
Yeah.
See, but the other ones, when I look at the other pieces, I'm like, get away from me. When I look at this one, I was like, she just needs a hug.
Aww.
Like, honestly. She's had a long day, and I need a pillow. So, she just looks very fluffy, okay?
Yeah, it's fluffy. I think she's painted really well.
Yeah. I really, really, really like the depiction of the wings. I think that kind of like layered feathering, still large layers, but kind of like sharp pointed and like layered over one on top, one on... I mean, I can't even speak.
I like the painting on her coat, like her fur, like in like the chest area and on the legs, like it kind of how it's painted, it looks or like mimics fur, like she is kind of fuzzy, even like on her ear and like head when you like zoom in and stuff, like how the brush strokes are used there, mimic horsey fur.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Horsey fur.
So I like it. I also like the books.
Yeah.
It's your turn to say something you like. Go on.
Okay. I like her hair. We talked a little bit about like iridescence last week in mentioning that piece by
I missed last week.
I know, I'm sorry. But this is a bit more of a duller iridescent look, but like if you look, the mane on her left, so our right, is like very wispy, very like cloud-like.
Like going down her neck.
Yeah. And but it gets solid, like more solid as you go up.
And her tail too.
You've got like those strands, that like mimic like she's like stressed.
Yeah.
Did you did you just mix like Eastern European with like Wisconsin?
I'm gonna go with yes.
That was the weirdest mixtures of accent I've ever heard.
It's my turn to say things I like.
Okay.
I like the books, the like glowy, like creepy books. And they're like, I don't know, they're like ominous. And like there's this weird chained book on the left. Like, why do you need to chain up a book?
They look like spiders.
They do. I think these books are the spiders, actually.
Well, they're
like,
chains. They are actually chains. Byrne made a good point, but
it's a cool library, the evil library.
Oh yeah, those aren't oh wow.
Yeah, they are chains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a piece similar to this, but a complete different feeling, and it's by Mystic Alpha, and it's Twilight trying to read from the same library. And then it's Celestia picking her up and like, no, you can't read these books. And there's like little like evil death things like coming out of the book, and she's like, no, I want to read. You guys remember that? You know what I'm talking about?
All I can remember is like, oh, yeah. I think I do. Sorry, who was that by again?
That was by Mystic Alpha.
Yeah.
This reminded me of that like evil library. I was like, Twilight's been in this library before.
That one was a bit less
she
dark.
was a filly.
Yeah, quite a bit less dark.
Sorry, off topic. Sorry.
I have one final thing about this piece, and that is that I really like how Fruit Blood Milkshake mixed a whole bunch of like this creepy like subsets. So like you have the creepy ambiance. So you have this shaft of light, the darker colors, the muted colors, the whole library setting and whatnot. You have Celestia herself, which is that uncanny creepy. And then you have like these books, which is kind of like a foreboding, like monstrous, creepy kind of almost. Really well done.
And those colors help so much. Like we talked about already, but this color is so good because you've got like the red going to the green and the orange and blue, and it's all muted and it's dark.
All right, I'm cutting you off.
No, I want to repeat myself again that we've said in other episodes that when you mix colors that are complements kind of together, they create like a dull kind of gray. So that green in like the top portion of the piece and everywhere there is dark or gray, it is actually still like it has a tint to it. It has a color to it. It's, it's partially green complementing the light and stuff like that. And it's good. Fruit Blood Milkshake, you're a good artist. You know what you're doing. Keep it up.
All right, let me just give me a second here. I'm just going to look up in my word of the day is defenestrate, which is what I'm going to do to you.
Can I help you with
I don't think you can say that on the show.
I have never defenestrated anyone.
Do you not know what defenestrate means?
I like my gonads.
It means to throw you out a window.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's move on to the questions because we're done with art.
I'll defenestrate your face.
You can do that. It's a thing. All right. So our questions this week, because we don't have our question master, will be read by me. And then the second question will be read by Burned in a silly voice.
Yes.
So the very first one is, what is your favorite MLP fan theory? Or do you have any theories of your own? By E.I. LeWolf.
All right. I have one off the top of my head.
I don't think that's the right phrase, but go on.
The top. Yeah. Okay. My favorite fan theory is that Star Swirl the Bearded and Discord are one and the same. It's kind of been passed around a bit. There's been kind of hints in the show that it could be potentially like that Discord was Star Swirl the Bearded, and then he like had an accidental spell that turned him into Discord and chaos ensued or whatever. But I don't know. It's kind of an interesting theory, and I like it. I don't know if I prescribe to it like completely, but it's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Burned? Any fan theories that you latch onto?
I'm sure there's a few, but I can't think of them.
You like Lyra Bonbon. That's kind of a fan theory.
I thought a fan theory. Shipping doesn't count.
It's not a fan theory. It's reality.
Any kind of like things that I see, I don't know, I enjoy, like fan art things. It's fun to see all of them, but I don't really have any theories of my own. I don't really theory craft much.
There's a lot of cool
Burn's
like stuff to do with like Nightmare Moon and like how that actually went down. I mean, I know they've shown it on the show now, but you know, there's stuff like Children of the Night and other things like that kind of describe the Luna and Celestia interaction.
They're like, you're talking about favorite fan theories. I mean, one of my favorite things is Children of the Night, so we can go with that.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Go with that.
I like that. I like the whole thing where it's like, I'm Luna and these children are sad. I'm gonna take them away. And
I'm gonna steal
Celestia's
your
like,
babies.
You took my children, and then the things and happen, and it's all right.
So my favorite fan theory. Well, it's actually not a fan theory. It's a theory that I have, that Twilight Sparkle is actually a ghost. She's the ghost of Bruce Willis. And
she's untouchable.
Yeah. No,
so she's invincible, like that movie, Untouchable. She's like, she's a superhero. She can't die. That's why she like gets through the hydras and stuff, and she never dies in the series when she should have.
No, wait.
Right?
So she saves the world by finding the fifth element and getting some stones out of a blue alien and then erecting them in
the elements of harmony are the stones.
No, she's just really good at beating up Russians and walking across grass. Glass. Damn it!
Multipass.
Why can't I talk today?
Multipass.
Anyways, yes, she died at the end of Sixth Sense. Anyways,
Spoilers.
Any more Bruce Willis jokes? Keep it rolling.
That's all I got.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother bucker. Okay. Okay. Burned. The second question demands your attention.
Okay, you guys gotta pick a voice for me though. What do you want to hear? What's a burn voice
that you want me to
hear?
Burndini the Wizard.
Burndini the Wizard?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Burndini, of course, being of Swedish descent.
Swedish descent. Because I don't know if I can do wizard, but I might be able to do Swedish. All right. Time to defend all of Sweden.
Wait, isn't Ramislak Swedish?
Ramislak
Yes!
is Swedish.
Oh my God, it's my Ramislak. Ramislak, I'm going to offend your people. So how do you usually spend your holiday? Sent in by Ramislak.
You sound like Luna in Friendship is Witchcraft.
You smell like cream cheese. Oh, man. So we looked at that question, and we decided that because we didn't have any Halloween questions, this one was close enough that we could kind of just shift it a little bit and talk about Halloween. So, you know, how we usually spend our Halloween. So, yeah. Okay, I guess I'll go first then.
Yeah, you go first.
All right, so I usually spend my Halloween by, well, I guess these days I don't really do much. I like get a bunch of candy that's low priced because everything's on sale after Halloween, and I stuff it into my face.
As is tradition.
Yeah, as is tradition. No, you're not allowed to chew. That's kind of like the thing for Halloween.
Yeah, it's really bad manners if you chew.
But what I used to do, I had this tradition that I used to do when I lived in Toronto. I would sit around and play video games with one of my best friends who lived like right down the street. And we would do this every single Halloween, and we hand out candy. So we would, you know, have the bowls at the front. My parents, you know, they got so tired of Halloween after so many years of handing out candy, they were just like, you do it. So we would, because the room where like the video games and stuff were was right by the front door, we would sit there, and whenever someone would come up, we'd walk out and give them candy and whatever. And because we were right there, you know, the candy was right there, we would like eat it at the same time. So we'd basically like eat half of it and give the other half away. But it was really cool. It was kind of like a little tradition that we would do.
Oh, cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
I used to go trick-or-treating back when I was really young.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. And then, then I would go to parties, like Halloween parties, costume parties, and that was fun. Nowadays,
wild
not really much of
parties.
anything, just like Rainbow Plasma, grab candy, eat candy.
I don't like wearing costumes. Not because I don't like costumes, but because I'm really lazy and I don't want to make a costume because I'm really bad at making a costume. So I feel like I either have to spend a bunch of money to buy a costume, which I'm going to use like once in the year,
yeah, or
just not wear a costume. So
see, like,
I usually just don't wear a costume.
I have good ideas for costumes, but like I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm going to spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time, and then just like, you know, wear this costume once. Although I have to say, in college we did a Disney themed party, and I was Emperor Cusco, and it was an awesome costume.
That's great. I guess it kind of depends on how many people, like, because I can't really justify it, because like I'll go to work and like 50 people will see me there, but like only maybe 10 of them will like actually comment about anything, and it's like then I'm done. You know, I don't have any other plans, so I made this costume for 10 people who are kind of like you know, get back to work.
See you at work tomorrow.
Yeah,
I should wear a pony costume into work.
Yeah, that'll go well.
Halloween. Yeah, no.
I do have wings and ears. I'm not gonna wear them though.
Yeah.
We're normal people. We just wear wings and ears.
What's your Halloween-y tradition? You live in like the middle of nowhere. Does anybody actually trick or treat near you?
Sometimes we get like some of the local kids from like houses nearby within 10-minute walking distance. Like we have like 5 houses on our street, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think 1 or 2 of them have kids. So we get some, but it's pretty much none. But we get enough to like, we can just put a bowl outside and no one cares. What I want to get is one of those spider things that like you have, there's like a pressure pad and you put it underneath your mat and you put the spider behind the candy bowl. And if they step on your welcome mat in front of your door, it's and it fucking, like, it
the
jumps
candy
at them.
springs out of them?
Yeah, the spider, not the candy. The spider
showering
jumps at
them in
them.
candy.
Yes. Spray candy at them, that would be sweet.
Now I just imagine you, this is a completely different scenario, but I imagine you like sitting in like a rocking chair, like outside of your front door with like a bowl of candy, and you can see like you have like a long driveway, so you can see the kids at the very end, and like you just like yell at them to like get off your lawn, and like you take the candy like a handful and just throw it at them. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying with you guys, like I did the whole like being little trick-or-treating thing. I was blessed in Alaska of all things, so normally it was wading through snow to go trick-or-treating. There was one time I remember that was a lot of fun. It was like when I was about the age where I go trick-or-treating by myself with like my friends, you know. I don't know how old I was, 14, 13, something like that. And it was like knee-deep snow, and we put on snow pants and then like cruddy, you know, robes or whatever the heck. I think I was Death or something over that. And we would like run through the snow and go trick-or-treating. We knew all the best neighborhoods. You had the big candy bars and stuff.
The candy bars.
Those are from times past.
That's what my house is going to do this year. We're going to buy a bunch of like of the big candy bars and hand them out.
Yeah, that'd be
so we're going to be that
house.
We're going to be that cool house.
Nowadays, Burn just like dresses up as a fairy and sits in front of his computer. I guess that's every day.
See, now you're going to have to take a picture of that and like put it somewhere.
I think he needs to turn his webcam on for like all of Halloween.
Actually, I could make a sick costume. I could get like a cowboy hat or something, because I've been not
sick
shaving
costume,
for like
bro.
I've been not shaving for like the past 3 months, and so like my mustache is super curly again. And it's fantastic.
You could be like
and
a
then
villain.
for some reason, you know that little tuft of hair that like grows underneath your lip? It's kind of like that little soul patch thing.
Soul patch, yeah.
That for some reason has been doing like double time, and it's like longer than all of my other hair. And for some reason, it curls up and juts out of my face the same way that my hair grows. So like my hair, you know how you brush it to one side? It's going to my right side, and then the hair growing out of my stupid little soul patch thing is curling up and going to my right side, so it matches the curls on my mustache. And
Stop talking about how your facial hair is growing. It's
that's a day in Burns'
out.
life. So like I could be like Frito Bandito. I don't know.
So wait,
that's what my mom calls me.
This entire episode, Burned, was it just a setup for you to talk about your facial hair?
You know, more or less.
I knew it.
So
not that I don't enjoy talking about my mustache.
I guess you'd have a sweet mustache. I guess
Thank
like
you.
one more like little question from me, like as a side thing to do with Halloween, like what did you guys usually use for like gathering up the candy when you used to go trick-or-treating? Because I would take pillowcases.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right, up top.
Absolutely. Pillowcases every single time. It was
They
great.
were the best.
Yeah.
'Cause they're huge, and you get the long pillowcases because you need all the candy.
Yeah.
Back
I would
when
I would never fill them. That would be crazy. Like I probably could have just taken like a regular bag with the amount of trick-or-treating that I actually did, but I don't know, there's just something about the fact that like you bring out like the big pillowcase, and it's like that expectation of like maybe this year I could fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of sit around and wait to get invited to something. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I remember like a couple Halloweens ago when I had a girlfriend, I got invited to go to costume party there, and it was pretty much like an excuse for all the women to dress up like sexy anything.
Right.
So my girlfriend was like a sexy mobster.
All right.
That was a good time.
Well, I think we're running up on time here.
High school was a good time. Let me tell you when. Tell you stories.
Okay,
about how
so-
short that skirt was.
So, okay, we need to do the plugs. That was the questions. Thank you very much for people who keep sending in questions. We still got some to get through. But
Send me pictures
send
of
in
your
more if you
sexy
want to.
costumes. Preferably women.
Okay, so Bernd, why don't you do the plugs for us this week?
Kidoke. Let's see. We have stuff. We have a DeviantArt. It's cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. And then we have email, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. It's where you send your sexy Halloween photos to. And we have a Twitter, which is @cutieartcrusade. We have we have everything. We have a Tumblr, which is cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com. We have a Facebook, which is facebook.com/cutieartcrusaders.
And last but not least, something that's very important to mention this week, we have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders. And the reason why this is important is because if you are sitting right now and listening to this podcast and you are on the YouTube channel for Everfree Network,
all 30-something people that watch that,
then you need to get off your butt right now, head over to youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders and hit the subscribe button there, because this is the final episode that's going to be going up on EFN's YouTube.
Subscribe, like.
So if you want to keep getting the show, then you can either keep heading out to the Everfree Network live streams, every week Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Everfree's live stream. We're definitely still premiering there, but we are moving over all of our YouTube uploads to Cutie Art Crusaders on YouTube. So go there and subscribe if you want to keep seeing our stuff, because that's where we're going to be exclusively from now on.
Share our videos.
Yeah. So if you're on Everfree Network's channel right now and you haven't subscribed, then get your little butt over there, because that's where we'll be posting from now on.
Yes.
By the way, the YouTube stuff gets posted at 9 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday, right after the live stream premiere finishes.
Yes.
Whee!
Yay!
So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing from now on. So again, go subscribe there, show us some love, and yeah. And, I mean, that's basically everything. I was going to mention that, but then you forgetting that kind of segued right into it, so it was great. I think Burn's like off in his own world.
I think we broke Burned.
Yeah.
I think you asking him to do a Swedish accent just kind of like put
he's
him into
too busy twirling his mustache and thinking about which direction his facial hair is growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can chew on my soul patch.
All right. Well, my word of the calendar. Can I be done with this podcast? Can I
think we're done here. Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to me recently, but I can't talk. I don't know. It's
as
weird.
an ending
I can
note,
talk in funny accents.
As an ending note, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Nightmare Night / Halloween from all of the Cutie Art Crusaders to you. I hope you guys have fun, whether you're dressing up or just being lazy
or
like
dressing
us.
Sexy. Like
do you guys remember when Ponies aired when there was Halloween? Me neither. When's that happening?
Good
Anytime
lord,
soon?
yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah. All right, well, that's everything for this week. Thank you guys for watching, whether or not you're on the live stream or on YouTube. We love you all the same. Burned. My name is Rainbow Plasma.
Let's burn.
I'm Fluttery317.
And have a happy Halloween.
Scary skeletons.
Too spooky.
Too spooky 5 me.
God, that was terrible.
I got it.
Good. We're good.
I'm the best.
Hello, and welcome to episode 120 of the Welcome
to the Cutie Art Crusaders. You should start the podcast like that.
I'm glad that the week that I wasn't editing, I screwed up. That's totally not going to make it in.
Aw, man.
No, I mean, the week I'm not editing it. I was sarcasm.
I gotcha.